Eswatini Prime Minister Ambrose Dlamini, who tested positive for coronavirus 4 weeks ago, has died at the age of 52 after being hospitalized in South Africa. A statement from the Eswatini government says Dlamini was transferred to South Africa earlier this month to fast-track his recovery from COVID-19. At that time, Dlamini was stable and responding well to treatment. He died in hospital yesterday. Eswatini has so far recorded 6,768 positive cases of the coronavirus, with 127 confirmed deaths. Now, to talk to us more about the passing of Eswatini's Prime Minister is the acting Prime Minister of Eswatini, Themba Masuku. A very good morning to you, and thank you so much for making the time to join us. Can you confirm the passing of Mr. Dlamini for us? Okay, that conversation seems to... Mr. Masuku, I don't know if you can hear us. I was asking if you're able to confirm the passing of Mr. Dlamini for us.
Yes, morning, Desiree. Yes, indeed, I can confirm the tragic news and the sad passing of our Prime Minister, His Excellency, Mr. Ambrose Dlamini, yesterday afternoon in a South African health facility where we had taken him for fast-tracking his recovery.
What is the Eswatini government's response to this passing? What's the feeling like in the country?
The mood is very somber. We are saddened. I think the leadership of this country, His Majesty, the King Ngwenyama, and the Queen Mother, and the Cabinet and the nation are very sad to have lost this very energetic young Prime Minister who was very active and committed, and so we're very saddened by the news, and it is a very tragic and sad day for the nation of Eswatini. We hope that the families, as we accept this fate, we send our condolences to the families and friends and everybody who knew him.
How will the Prime Minister's passing impact government in Eswatini? What's the next step?
Well, of course, he was a visionary Prime Minister, and he spearheaded a number of initiatives like the strategic roadmap and the COVID-19, the post-COVID-19 recovery strategy. And you can see that those initiatives hadn't matured yet. Of course, we had already started working on them. But if the person who had conceived these initiatives is no longer in the scene, it puts so much pressure on those who are left behind to make sure that it happens, because it is something that we all saw as initiatives that would change the economic and social outlook of the Kingdom of Eswatini.
Of course, we're talking about the passing of the Prime Minister this morning, but just in terms of a country perspective, we're reporting this morning that Eswatini has recorded 6,768 cases of infections and 127 deaths. Just please give us a sense of, in terms of the size of Eswatini, what these numbers mean: 6,768 infections and 127 deaths, and just in terms of how Eswatini is coping with the COVID-19 pandemic.
Yeah, we have been managing. if you see how we've had a reduction in the infections and deaths, you can see that the nation came together and we were trying to control it. But as the second wave has come, we are struggling again, struggling in the sense that people had relaxed now and they had lowered their guards. And this is where we're getting hit here. And the fact that, also the fact that people move in and out of the country, and even within, people tend to be more relaxed now. I think that becomes a bit of a problem. So we have recently announced that people must begin to be vigilant once again so that we can control it. We have improved our health facilities, and but you are never ready for something that you have never seen before. So we struggle every day, like any other country, to make sure that we can get the PPEs and the medication, and just to motivate people on a daily basis to protect themselves by wearing their masks when they are with other people, and to try as much as possible to stay home. So we're sending these messages to make sure that people can protect themselves and their loved ones. The passing away of the Prime Minister has actually it has shaken a lot of people, because there's always this feeling that some people don't get it, others get it, and this shows that everybody is not safe in this situation. So we are struggling with PPEs, but we hope we can manage. And our relationship with neighboring states like South Africa makes it better for us to make sure that what we can't manage here, they can manage for us in the neighboring states.
Has the Prime Minister's body already been transported back to Eswatini?
No, we're making those arrangements. It's the logistics are very complicated, and you need to appreciate that in order to do that, you need certain protocols, you need to fill in certain forms, you need to deal with the border, the passage, and all the logistics that are required. But we're getting a lot of support and assistance from the South African government in terms of fast-tracking this and making sure that we can repatriate the remains today, so that we can continue with our plans internally relating to the funeral or the burial of the late Prime Minister of the Kingdom.
Here in South Africa, one of the most anticipated stories of the day is the awaited address of President Cyril Ramaphosa to South Africans about measures to approach the festive season. Is there such an activation in Eswatini in terms of alerting your Swazi citizens about how to approach this time of the year?
We have already started. We actually started last week. We gave that responsibility to the Minister for Health, who issued a statement last week, last week Friday, to make sure that people are reminded that as we are approaching this festive season, they need to be vigilant. We're telling them what to avoid, what not to do. We know that this is the season where the consumption of alcohol will be increasing, and we know that this is where most of the problems will begin, because social distancing and other protocols are not followed appropriately during that festive season. So we're making sure that people must understand that moving around from one home to another or from one place to another might cause problems. So if you want to protect yourself, please stay home. So these are the messages that we have already started sending, and our radio, we are very aggressive on radio, and we know that sometimes people coming in, relatives that come in from South Africa, relatives that go to South Africa, we ask them to at least forego that this year until we can control the situation. Because relatives, the Swazi side has relatives in the South African side and vice versa. You know, we are a country of cousins and relatives together. So we are vigilant. We're trying very hard to make sure that we protect our nation. But also, when the president of South Africa also makes his statement, we sort of make sure to listen carefully so we can synchronize our operations so that whatever they do on the other side it must be in sync with what we do and vice versa, because we are so close together that anything that goes wrong in South Africa could affect us, and anything that can go wrong in Eswatini can affect the South African side. So we are together in this, and we should continue to work together as we have been doing, particularly in the health sector.
Do we already have word on the funeral arrangements, and how will the kingdom be marking this time leading up to the funeral? Will there be any flags flown at half-mast?
Yeah, right now when I leave here, actually I have a meeting at 11 where we have to sit down as a government, including the family of the late Prime Minister, to look at the logistics. We don't have a date now. We're only now going to be working on the logistics, because as we got the message last evening, we started consulting, and we're dealing with this. We will be communicating to the nation perhaps late today or tomorrow about the logistics of what you have asked, the date of the funeral and other requirements that we need to put in place.
Let's thank you for talking to us this morning. I know we're reporting on the passing. We hope at some stage you can join us once again just to talk about funeral arrangements and perhaps the legacy of the late Prime Minister.
Thank you very much. We will do.
Thank you for your time. That was Themba Masuku, who is now the acting Prime Minister of the Kingdom of Eswatini.